tuning into the Generational Gauntlet Top 5 Faves. This is the podcast where we give you our top 5 on a topic with a generational twist to it. My name is Matt Lambert, and I'm the host of this podcast. Each week, I bring in a guest who's from a different generation than me to discuss or debate our top 5 on a selected topic. And last month, an episode released on the top 5 movie quotes. And I promised that episode was only part of fulfilling a listener's request. Part 2 of that comes today, as we're going to be covering a topic that was requested by a listener, and it's our top 5 favorite motivational quotes. Now, I am a complete nerd when it comes to motivational quotes, so I'm extremely pumped for this one. If we're going to talk about motivational quotes, I had to bring in a master motivator, and that man is Bob Theuring, a Gen Xer, a business coach, a certified Canfield trainer of the Success Principles, a certified member success trainer in BNI, a man who has bowled a 300 game multiple times, a certified life coach, a speaker, a writer, a trainer, a creator, and the owner of Tandem Innovations. So, number one, Bob, that is an insane resume. Thank you for coming on here. How are things going your way?
Things are going great my way. It sounds more insane and impressive than it really is. But Matt, there's one missing one off of there. I am a certified level 1 USBC coach. And I'll ask
Okay.
you have any idea what that is?
I do not. Why don't you hit us with it? What is that?
So USBC is United States Bowling Congress. So I
Okay.
also have what they call level 1 certification from a number of years ago. I don't know if they expire or not, so I may not be official anymore, but I am a certified bowling coach. So throw that
Well, I
in there.
mean, if you're bowling perfect games, you're the perfect person to teach other people how to do it, right?
Well, that's a loaded question, but because you think about some of the best sports coaches, they themselves weren't really good athletes sometimes, so you never know. But
That's a good point. I think that's actually been talked about on this podcast, that sometimes the greatest athletes can't be a good coach because they can't explain how to do what they do. They're like, why are you not as good as me? So
very good
that's a
point.
very
Yep.
good point. Well, before we dove into the top 5s today, I
Mhm.
wanted people to learn more about you and your business. So first off, how long have you been in coaching?
So officially, I've owned the company Tandem Innovations. I've owned it for a little over 20 years now,
Oh,
and
wow.
I formed it as a training and a technology company. And technology consumed my first half of the first 10 years. I did a little bit of stuff here, some little trainings here and there, but
Mhm.
really, as primary coaching is my focus and training, which I do now. Well, about maybe 10 or 11 years, that's been my primary focus.
Okay. And in terms of the coaching aspect,
Mhm.
what made you decide this was a career you wanted to pursue or you wanted to jump into?
Another great question, and I could talk real long about that. I won't in this case, but the seed was planted when I was working a job down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was one of my first like real jobs. A company came in and where I was working, and they trained everybody on customer service training. And
Mhm.
I was 19 years old, Matt, and I was enthralled with it. It was just it planted the seed, okay? And then
Yeah.
basically I did IT work for the next 10 or so years there, and I moved back here to West Virginia, and then I hired a coach, and it was a game changer for my business. Then I hired another coach, and it was a game changer for my life and business. And I think it's always been there. And I, the title coach means a lot of different things. I'm kind of just someone that likes to help people, come alive with
Yeah,
their lives and businesses, if that makes sense.
absolutely. And that kind of segues into my next question here. So with Tandem Innovations, what
Mhm.
exactly does your company do and what do you offer to your clients?
Okay, so um, the product I offer, so to speak. Well, I don't know if that's the right word. What people hire me for? That would be a good
Mhm.
question. What do people hire me for?
Yeah.
And I kind of it's a little tricky to describe it, but I like to explain it as if I help people fill in gaps between distinctions here. I'll give you a couple examples. Like take people from potential to performance,
Mhm.
from being intentional to being a person of action, from, and this is a good one here, from confusion. Matt, you know people who are confused this day and age? Am I
All over
right?
the place.
Sure. And I help work with them toward clarity. So it's
Hmm.
kind of, frustration toward progress, just going along with the motions toward intentional, purposeful living.
Hmm.
And that applies to their businesses, to their lives. It's just, I help people kind of uncover what's within them. I don't do the work. It's kind of like a
Yeah,
personal trainer at the YMCA. They're there to help, but Matt, if you want to improve or make changes, you got to do those push-ups, right?
exactly.
So does that kind of answer it a little bit?
Yeah, it does. And I guess my follow up to that is, so if somebody's a business or a business owner
Hmm.
and they reached out to you, what are things you would be able to do to help them, whether that's generally, more specifically, like how could a business benefit from partnering up with you?
Okay, sure. One of my passions is what I call the client or customer experience. So
Hmm.
I can challenge them on improving that, like how they bring their product and or services to the people that they sell to or perform
Hmm.
for or work for, whatever it is. And a lot of people come to me because they're overwhelmed. They've, man, a lot of my clients are people who they used to cut lawns and
Yeah.
they've gone and started their own lawn care business, or they used to fix whatever, computers, air conditionings.
Hmm.
And they were like, I kind of want to do this on my own. And they get out in business like, I can fix these things, but running a business is a different story.
Yes.
And man, I'm not a business expert. A lot of people call me an
Yeah.
expert. I'm not really an expert in business. I am a deep listener, and I try to help people kind of get out of their own way and get
Hmm.
more efficient systems, get more creative. It could be a variety of things. So people hire me because they want to make some kind of an impact or
Yeah.
improvement, more income. It's a variety of reasons.
Yeah. Now, I know as I was doing research and I was looking at your website, one of the things that you do is you're also a life coach. So I've got a couple questions related to that. And for anybody that doesn't know, like what does a life coach do?
Well, similar to what I said with the business thing is
Hmm.
I'm kind of a generalist. If you were to compare me to like the medical field, I would be a
Yeah,
general practitioner, if you will.
I
So
like that.
I don't hit on one niche. I just hit
Hmm.
on what people are looking for. And the truth be told, life coach, business coach, success coach, executive coach, you can kind of mix all those in. I've had people
That
that
makes
have
sense.
hired, I have people that have hired me to improve like relationships within their business, and I end up working with them on their relationships with their family.
Hmm.
You never know. People need an objective viewpoint on a lot of these things, and a husband, a wife, a kid, they're supportive, but sometimes they're not objective, and that's kind of where I'm a
Yeah.
voice a lot of people don't have, if that makes sense.
No, I like that. There's a lot of people that friends and family that they get, for lack of a better term, a lot of yes men in their corner that
Yes.
afraid of hurting somebody's feelings or afraid of, ruining a relationship. They don't tell them what they really need to hear. And sometimes you need that unfiltered feedback. So it sounds like that's something that you give to people in your role, whether it's business or individually.
Yeah, very much so, Matt. And the other thing is I could marketing my business is tricky because you're hearing it. It's
Yeah.
not black and white. It's not like my lawn needs cut, my landscape needs done. It is metaphorically, people need that internally sometimes,
Yeah.
and people are. It is a vulnerable thing. The more open people
Yeah.
are with me, the more I can help them, and they have to gain that
Hmm.
trust. And mine's not like a quick sell. It's not like go out and hire me to do this today. It's. I work with people quickly, but
Yeah.
people have to be open, and it's gonna be challenging.
No, it definitely can be, but it sounds like you're selling yourself here saying that, hey, this is a process and you're trying to help people and
Mhm.
meet them where they're at. So really I had a question that I was going to ask about what services you provide, but from what I'm hearing, that's very tailored to what that person needs and what their goals are at this point in their life.
Yeah, very true. The product, so to speak, would be one-to-one coaching,
Okay.
group coaching, customized workshops. Like,
Hmm.
let's say let's say you owned Matt's Barbecue,
Yeah.
okay, and you're just having trouble with turnover rates or whatever. I might come in and do a workshop on
Oh, nice.
relationship building and or listening skills. Matt, we go to school for reading and writing and
Yeah.
arithmetic and all that, but there's very little listening that's taught if you think about it. So,
Very true. I don't think I ever learned anything about emotional aware or emotional intelligence
mhm.
until after I was in the professional job field. They didn't teach that in college. It was, whatever was related to your degree, your core classes. There was nothing about your personality or soft skills. So sounds like that's something you're able to really help people with some of those
It,
soft skills, or I think they call it EQ.
soft skills, it's getting more and more challenging as time goes by because you experience out in the service field when you go to whatever it may be, retail, food and
Hmm.
beverage. I think you'd probably agree with me that soft skills training would sure be a good thing for a lot of these people. So, but my
One.
bigger picture is like see people to go back to good standards of morals, of
Mhm.
manners, of just common courtesy, man. I think a lot of that's getting lost these days.
It
So that
it
that that's a bigger mission.
Totally agree with you. I think something I always try to impart in my daughter is kindness goes a long way. You can give feedback to people and still be kind. You can address issues with people and still be a good human being. And I think that might be, hopefully, that's something we don't lose over time. So,
Well, I see people going back to a lot, but we've got to be careful. I think it's
yeah,
education. It's a and a lot of it that as the breakdown of the family. Not to get all moralistic, but I mean
yeah,
a lot of times family life needs to be strengthened. I think you would agree
hmm,
with that. It's
yeah,
just a big help to get people just just being more aware of other
hmm,
people and taking care of people. That simple.
absolutely. And I know on your website you have a tab and it's on why coaching, but I'm going to
Mhm.
ask you that question today. And you may have already hit it, but you know, if you think about somebody, and I know there could be various circumstances going on in their life, what are the benefits of someone receiving coaching? And state it specifically to you. Like when it comes to you, what's the benefits of somebody partnering with you as a coach?
So a few kind of words here, like accountability. Now,
Hmm.
that has potentially a negative correlation to some people, but accountability is important. I think with think about military, you think
Yeah.
about systemized uh, businesses. There's always a level of accountability, and some people don't have that. Like we mentioned
Hmm.
before, my family loves me, supports me, but they're not the best at accountability. It's not their fault. It's just not what
Yes.
and I don't ask that of them.
Uh
So
huh.
so accountability. Now that's the service I'm giving someone. The outcome is an improved life, an improved
Hmm.
business, a more systematic business, a
Yeah.
also more fun, man. A lot of people aren't having fun these days. So,
It's true.
am I right? I mean, that's it.
Yep.
It's a lot of people are just going through the motions. So, and it
Mhm.
kind of goes back to those things I mentioned about filling in gaps. The end words to these things like more performance, more activity, and some
Mhm.
people want to get more money. Some people that's not why they hire me. It just depends, but
Yeah.
basically a fulfilling their potential and living more intentionally and helping them kind of find their purpose a lot of times. A lot of
Yeah.
people aren't doing that or don't know. So I
You
don't
know,
know if I gave you an answer to that or not. Does that make
you
sense?
no, you did, and,
Yeah.
what I've heard, what the answers you've given today is this is really individualized to what someone needs, and
Yes.
as you said, it's not some niche where it's like, I'm looking for only athletes or only, like, Fortune 500 business owners. You are, "Hey, I'm gonna meet you where you're at. We're gonna figure out what you need, and that's how I'm gonna help you."
That's that's exactly right. But here's the thing. Most people have some common things. I get
Yeah.
time management challenges is common. Just staying committed to things.
Mhm.
Communication, that's probably the number one thing in organizations is you don't
Yes.
communicate well. And I can call people out on that stuff, and I
Yeah.
can also help them become better communicators. Again, they're doing the work, but I'm the one that's the objective voice. I had one client, she tells me, she says, "Bob, It's not fair. I just pay you to just yell at me what I'm doing wrong. Now, I'm here to tell you that's not what happens, but I point things out to her very firmly. She gets frustrated with me, and then she comes back and
Yeah.
says, "You were right," and she hates saying you were right. So, but anyway, that's kind of a
You know,
minor summary.
you gave the explanation that you're almost like a personal trainer, and I really agree with that assessment because
Mhm.
sometimes people feel a personal trainer's yelling at them, but it's to hold them accountable, and yet they
Yes.
still have to do the work. So I love the way you've described this. Now, before we get into our top fives, I have one other question for you. But before I
Okay.
ask that, because it's not related to your business,
Okay.
but with your business, is there anything else you'd like to get out there that you'd like people to know about you from a business perspective at this point?
Well, I really feel my calling and my purpose is to help people with
Hmm.
their calling and their purpose.
I love that.
And as a result, what I do is just, and I do it by conversations. I sit down with people and have conversations, and I try to listen at a
Hmm.
very, very deep level. And that's something I'm always working on. I'm not like the most polished listener. I'm working on that as I go. But I I always want the best for people,
Hmm.
and it's we're so full of so much possibility and potential. I want to help people discover or rediscover their beauty, the purpose,
Yeah.
potential, responsibility, just to be fully alive again in their lives and or businesses. That's probably a good summary.
I absolutely love all of that. The question I have before for you before we get into these top fives
Okay.
is, and I know you're a person from everything you've just described, you're motivating a lot of people, but is if just generally, what motivates you?
That's an excellent question. And I will tell you what probably motivates me is when so I like to I'm a foodie. I love food and I love this the science of it, the flavor of the
Okay.
experience. What motivates me is when I leave a place. It could be food, it could be retail, it could be a sporting event where people are going all in and they are just committed to my experience. It's not about me,
Hmm.
it's just about how they put themselves out there. And there's sports is a big thing for me. A good sporting effort, a team effort. Uh, I'm a big golf fan, so
Hmm.
watching golfers like Scotty Scheffler and how they are all in and committed and being fully present, just people that are living with a good purpose and giving it their all. As cheesy as that sounds, just giving it their all, fully present and committed to their audience or their client or whatever it may be. I, that gets me so excited. That keeps me doing what I do.
It's interesting that you say that. There was, and I'm actually looking up the guy's name. I think his name is Ryan Estes, and he gives a speech about a cup of coffee that changed his life. And he just basically talks about this barista that it's Christmas Eve, they're in the airport, and they are making it their mission to basically just pour happiness into every single customer they have, and that you don't see that level of service a lot of times, but somebody that's just fully committed to, hey, this might not be the most glamorous of jobs in some people's eyes, but I'm here to just make this the best experience that every person has. So you're giving me
That's
the
it.
vibes that I heard from him. Well,
Yep, that
Bob,
is it.
we'll get ready to jump into these top fives. And for
Okay.
any of the listeners, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I'll kind of walk through how this thing works. So, Bob and I have each put together our lists for our top five favorite motivational quotes. I don't know any of his list. He doesn't know any of mine. How this will work, he'll give his number five and why. Then I'll give my number five and why. And we'll continue in that fashion until we get to each of our number ones. So, with that, Bob, I'm going to hand it to you. What was your number five favorite motivational quote?
Got it. Okay. By the way, this wasn't easy. This was tricky because
I
there's
agree.
the list was I could on another day I could plug 5 different ones in. So here we go. Okay. So here's number 5. So I try to be a little bit unique with a few of these. Here's number
Okay.
5. The most important thing about art is to work. Nothing else matters except sitting down every day and trying. We must do our work for its own sake, not for fortune or attention or applause.
Ooh,
And that quote is from Stephen Pressfield. He he's if you ever seen the movie The Legend of Bagger Vance, I don't know if you ever heard of that or seen that movie.
I've not seen it, but I know what movie you're talking about.
And it's a golf movie, but he also wrote a book called The War of Art, not the art of war, but the war of art. It's all about
Okay.
creativity. So this one, and I'm a kind of a right brain creative person. I do drawing and painting, and I'm really drawn toward art and experiences and stuff. So it resonated well with me.
I like it. I like it. Bob, it's interesting. I struggle with this like you said you did. I am a huge motivational quotes fan. My door at work, I put up a different motivational quote every day. I'm obsessed with them.
Mhm.
And there are so many good ones. There's very basic ones like David Goggins screaming, "Who's going to carry the boats?" You've got profound ones from people like Les Brown or Maya Angelou. But I don't do this often on the podcast. I actually have two number fives. I have a 5A and a 5B. I'm cheating and I apologize, but I'm going to give you both. So my 5B is very short and it's
Okay.
ideal conditions. Now, I ran cross country and track growing up, and my coach, Chris Parsons, we would be running in like a torrential downpour. It'd be cold. It'd be super hot. It'd be just horrible conditions outside. And we get ready to run. We're in our fills. And this man would just yell out that, boys, it's ideal conditions. And it wasn't. The conditions sucked. But
Mhm.
what I loved is he framed our mindset in a different way because there were so many meets and races I went to where the weather wasn't ideal. We ran a state meet where it was so cold that we were running through a creek that they had to keep breaking up the ice in. And there were times I ran in torrential downpours or when it was really hot. And that whole idea of ideal conditions became whatever we ran in, whatever we trained in, were ideal for us. And it kind of leads into my next quote. This is my 5A. And
Okay.
Bob, are you familiar with Eric Thomas?
Boy, that name is ringing a bell, but I don't know that I am.
I'll give you his background. It may ring a bell once I tell you who he is. So Eric Thomas is one of my all-time favorite speakers. He's an author. He has his PhD. He's a pastor, and he's paid huge sums of money for his speeches that he gives to major corporations and professional and collegiate sports teams. I think he's worth about 32 million now, and he accomplished all of this after dropping out of high school and being homeless before he started chasing his dreams. And I've been a fan of E.T., which is what he often goes by, for at least
Um,
15 years. And there are so many quotes I could put on of E.T. There's his story, The Guru, which is phenomenal. I've used that numerous times. There's an episode I did with my dad where we talked about our top 5 favorite upsets. And I talked about Eric Thomas doing a speech on resiliency and the Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas fight. So the one I picked from him, though, he's the only one that he makes my list, and it is everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. And I think we live in a society where everyone gets very jealous about other people's accomplishments, whether that's professionally, athletically, financially, whatever it is. And people are looking for quick fixes. They want to be the fastest, the strongest, the best, but they don't want to put in the work. And that's what I love about that quote is whatever you're doing in life, sometimes you just got to do what beasts do. Whether it's being a better spouse, parent, a better coworker, a better athlete, you just got to embrace the grind. And sometimes it's not easy. You may have to sacrifice food you want to eat or something you want to watch on Netflix or something that's not as important to chase your dreams. So, you have to be a beast sometimes. As a throwback to my coach, Coach Parsons, you got to embrace the ideal conditions, even when they're not. So I realize I ranted there for a bit, but those are my number fives. So, Bob, I'll kick it back to you for your number 4 today.
well, and isn't it interesting your quote though? If you think about it, I talked about, my quote was the most important thing about art is the work.
Hmm.
Well,
Yep.
the artist is the beast in your example. Am I
Yes.
right? Am I
You're
right?
100% right. Yes.
So it's amazing that because our quotes are, if you think about it, our quotes are almost the same ilk there. I mean,
Uh-huh.
pretty much the same thing. So,
I love
okay.
it.
So number 4. Now, this one popped up just a little bit ago. Are you a golf person or golf fan, or do you know much about golf?
So I have not golfed since college. I used to golf a bunch in college. I am terrible. I play by double par rules. And if you take me to a putt-putt course, I can putt all day, or
Okay.
miniature golf. But real golf, no. But I respect the hustle of golf. Very familiar with it. I just can't do it.
Well, okay, but you understand terminology, so to
Oh
speak.
yeah.
You'll be able to. Okay. So I have to preface this one. It was a couple of weeks ago, the Open Championship, the British Open, as it used to be
Hmm.
called, or it's called now. It's on. They're 5 or 6 hours ahead of us there. So I turned it on pretty early in the morning. And here's the problem. I can't 100% be sure who to give credit to this quote, because I think it's Sam Torrance,
Hmm.
because they had 2 or 3 different Scottish and British announcers talking, and they all sounded kind of similar, but I think
Yeah.
it's Sam Torrance. So I'm gonna give him credit. I hope I'm right, but here was the quote: "Confidence. It's an amazing thing. It's the biggest weapon in the bag."
Oof.
Of course, he's talking about, for the non-golfers, you carry the golf bag that has all of your golf clubs in there. And the thing about this is, at that level, the professional level, most of them are pretty similar in talent. I mean, they're all
Hmm.
pretty darn good, obviously, but when it comes right down to it, those final few that always seem to be at the leaderboard, confidence. That's what he was pointing out, is it's an amazing thing. And so that quote just popped in there. I just learned that one a couple weeks ago. So
I
what do you
love
think?
that quote. That is
It was
that
good.
is such a good quote. So,
Yes.
this episode, as people know, we record these a few weeks before an episode releases. So I'm going to be holding on to this one so that I don't reveal it until the episode releases. But as soon as this thing drops, that's going to be on my board at work. That is a
I love it.
fantastic quote. I like that one a lot. If that's your number 4, I'm going to be very interested to see your top 3 today. Um,
Okay.
so, Bob, I will tell you, a lot of my quotes are driven by people that I'm a big fan of. And one person that I am a huge fan of, love a lot of his quotes. Are you familiar with Alex Hormozy?
Sure am. Very well.
Okay, so I'm going to give a quick bio on Alex for anybody that doesn't know him. Famous entrepreneur, founder of acquisition.com. He's an author. I consider him a motivational speaker as well. I listen to his podcast. Some of it really doesn't apply to me, some of the business stuff, but still a good listen. He's worth over 200 million, so doing all right financially for himself. But there's a quote that he gave, and I saw it in a compilation video of quotes. Now, Bob, you don't know this about me. I am a nerd. Like, we're talking full blown nerd with motivational quotes. When I lift at the gym, I don't listen to music. I listen to compilation videos of motivational speeches set to, they'll have some music in the background, but that's what I listen to.
Uh-huh.
And the quote that I heard on one of these was, "The bigger the dragon, the more epic the story, and by consequence, the greater the hero." And I just love that he reframes that when you go through something tough and you overcome that, that's just going to make your legend or your status better by what you overcame. And Bob, I'm going to throw a random question at you here. When you think about somebody that's known for overcoming something, whether it's sports, professional, it doesn't matter what field, who comes to mind for you for somebody that like overcame something big in their life?
So, boy, there's a bunch to that, man. There's a lot of examples. But I tend to default to sports because I just followed sports so much. And
Yeah.
I'll probably, again, I'm winging this. You threw this one at me
Yeah,
here, but
I did. I did.
I don't know how much you follow baseball, but there was a pitcher back in the 80s and 90s named Jim Abbott. Does that ring a bell?
Vaguely, yes.
So Jim Abbott was born without like a hand. He has it's just above his wrist, basically. He's pretty much short a hand. He has a little bit of like he doesn't have finger, but basically no hand.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
know
just
who
very
exactly who you're talking about now.
okay. So he does motivational talks and speaking this day, but he was a pitcher and he pitched at he was a star. He wasn't just an average player. He was a star
Yeah.
level pitcher, and so he would have to throw the ball. And if you can kind of picture the scene, I'm doing it here like you're watching me, but he'd have to throw the ball. His glove would be under his other arm, and he would immediately put the glove on to be ready to field. And if the ball got hit back to him, he would have to transfer the ball out and throw to the. And he did it effortlessly. And
Yeah.
that's the first thing that comes to mind. Well, there's plenty more, but that's the first one that comes to mind to me.
Well, it's funny, as I thought about it, sports are what came to mind for me too. And this is a podcast, at least from my perspective, that I'm not a fan of Michael Jordan. If anybody listened to episode 1, my dad and I debated about who is better, Jordan or LeBron. And I think a lot of people, when they think of overcoming, they talk about Jordan and overcoming the 1990s Detroit Pistons. But I'm going to give one better, and it's LeBron James coming back from a 3-1 deficit to beat the winningest team in NBA history, and it's the greatest championship of all time. Or if you want a non-sports reference, you could go with somebody like Captain Solly, who landed a plane on the Hudson River, saving all 155 people on board. And I'm sure that people like Captain Solly or LeBron, when they were going through that trying time, they're like, this is a lot. This is a lot to deal with. But their legend and how epic their story is has grown by the size of that dragon that they slayed. So my life advice for anybody that's listening today is apply that thinking to your own life. If you're really going through it, whether it's something at work or at home or your health, the fact that you're going to overcome this is going to be an epic story to tell people. And it's going to make you a better and more resilient person. So instead of saying, why me? Say, hey, this is going to make for a great story one day, even though it doesn't feel great to go through right now. So, Bob,
Mhm.
that's my number 4. If you've got any thoughts on it, feel free to share, or you can start out with your number 3.
Well, I'll make one thought here that
Yeah.
the quote was slaying the dragon, and I forget the exact quote you gave me, but the thing about that is I am not a science fiction guy,
Okay.
and almost to a like I don't like. I mean, like test it. However, however, I've had people who are science fiction people
Hmm.
dive into the meaning behind a lot of this stuff, and it kind of
Yeah.
it's eye opening because behind most of those, most some of it's a little weird, but a lot of them they have a motivational and ethical lesson, and
Yes.
it's so so I get it. That's my thought on that. That's not where I tend to go, but
All good.
I've learned a lot from people by listening instead of just assuming they're weird because they're the science fiction. Just because they think I'm weird and I'm bold, So,
I love it. I love it.
okay. All right, so we'll move to number 3. We ready?
Yes, sir.
So you've probably heard of Zig Ziglar before.
I have.
Okay. So he's for those that don't know, he passed away a number of years ago, but he's a long, old school motivational speaker. Here's his
Hmm.
quote. And this one, a lot of people will be familiar with this. Even your dad and I have used this in some of the talks we've given to people. It's you can have anything and all that you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. That's the quote.
Oof.
Have you heard that before?
I have. Yes.
I figured you would have because it's a very common one, and I tried not to use a common one, but there's an interesting twist in this one. Is you can have everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. Now,
Yeah.
and that kind of leaves the door open. What does he mean by enough? Because
Mm.
it resonates. I wrote this one down, so well, this is definitely a positive one. It makes everybody feel good. It's the law of reciprocity, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
if you help enough other people get what they want, so it leaves a little, I don't know, a little mystery out there.
I like that. Yeah, like really just encouraging like, hey, you got to get out, and you talked about this earlier on this episode about being good people and helping
Mhm.
other people. That really just feeds into the whole thing we talked about earlier, and just people being, I mean, for lack of a better term, better citizens of Earth, just better human
Yes, yes,
beings.
very much so.
Well,
So
Bob,
it's pretty straightforward, but it's
yeah,
extremely powerful. And when I'm kind of in my woe is me mode or whatever it may be, this is a good quote to turn to. Is like, who can I reach out to help, or who because people need help, and it shifts it off of ourselves, Matt. That's why I
yeah.
like.
It's like you're not wallowing in self-pity. You're going to shift your
Yes.
focus to somebody else because a lot of times circumstances could always be much worse than what we're going through.
Mhm.
Bob, it's interesting. We've had these parallels going on because you listed a quote that you said very well known. People know who he is. They know what that quote is. Mine, very well known person. I'm not going to give a description of who it is because people should know. And I think this quote is very well known, but I just love it. And it's from John Wooden, obviously long-term UCLA basketball coach, who said, "Be more concerned with character than reputation. Character is what you are. Reputation is what people think you are." And of all the quotes on my list, this is probably the most well known, but I love the simplicity of it because
Sure.
it's this whole idea, don't be worried about the perception, be worried about who you really are. And we can't change what people think about us a lot of times, but we can be who we really want to be and have that integrity or have all those good things that we're actually doing. So I just like that idea of not being focused on what people think about you and being focused on who you really are. So that one's my short and sweet comments on my number 3. Bob, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, and again, another sports guy or sports quote. And there's no coincidence to that because there's a lot of deep lessons and life
Yeah.
lessons in sports. And I have read where people, had other opportunities and they did whatever they could to get a chance to potentially play under him.
Yep.
And he wasn't easy, but he was very fair and he was very direct. And the truth be told, we talked about being objective earlier as far as in my role as a
Mm-hmm.
coach. He was definitely a very objective person, but his list of quotes is long, as you well know, and I think you picked a very common one, but a very good one and refreshing. So
Bob, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he actually cleaned the basketball courts and the locker rooms himself, but I could be wrong on that.
I've it's another one of those things. That's the problem with the internet is who knows. And
Yeah, that's
by the
true.
way, with that said, even our quotes here, I didn't hear these people say it. Well, I did. Well, I'll take that back. I did hear the Sam Torrance one, but the other ones
Yeah,
are who knows how exact they are. They're
that's
probably
true.
pretty accurate. We don't know. So
Yeah, that's fair.
excellent.
Well, what was your number 2?
Number two. Okay, I'm going to say this one, and you're going to not laugh. Okay, and I'm going to see if you can guess who says it. And there's no pressure.
Oh, okay.
All right, here's the quote. You ready?
I am.
Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you.
Is that Dr. Seuss?
That is Dr. Seuss,
I
yeah.
figured, yes.
Now we laugh, but how awesome is that quote?
Yeah.
It's giving you permission. It's a
Mhm.
uniqueness. It's an identifier. I think it's phenomenal.
Totally agree. It's just funny that somebody that wrote such eccentric stories
Yes.
and strange stories could come up with a quote that is just so perfect and on the nose
Mhm.
to just embracing yourself and
Yeah.
having that appreciation for you.
And just the art person in me and the poetic nature just makes it, and it's goofy, but it's got a
Yeah,
great lesson to it. So that
I
that
love
one
it.
that one pops on there.
Yeah, I like it. So you have this one that's kind of like goofy. Mine, this is the shortest quote on my list because it's one word, and I'm gonna have to give some context to it. I won't just the one word won't make sense. But Bob, are you a Jocko Willink fan?
So if I'm not, I may be wrong. Is he the military guy?
Yes, former Navy SEAL. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So because that's not a real common name, and I've read a book of his, some of his
Hmm.
material. So yes, I am. I think I've seen him speak a couple of times. I'm not. I don't know his stuff really deeply, but I'm familiar with him for sure.
Got it. Well, I'll give an explanation for anybody that's like, who are you guys talking about? So Jocko is a motivational speaker. He's an author, owner of Echelon Front, a BJJ practitioner, and a former Navy SEAL. And both my daughter and I have read numerous books he's written. My daughter's read his children's books, Way of the Warrior Kid. I've read several of his books on leadership, including Extreme Ownership. And we're just huge fans of him and his daughter in this house. And knowing that, my daughter knew a quote is going to have to make the list from him. And this is one that I do know he said because I used to listen to his podcast pretty consistently. His episodes are a little on the longer side, so I don't catch it all the time, but they get clipped on YouTube. And there's this one speech he gives on his podcast, and his quote is simple, and it was good. And to sum up the video, he said that someone he supervised in the military was complaining about something that happened and said, well, I know what you're going to say. And he's like, well, what am I going to say? And they're like, you're going to say good. And he basically talks about that anytime something went wrong, a mission failed, he got injured, he got passed over for a job, his mindset was just good. That if you get passed over for the job, it's good because that means you needed more time to prepare. If you got injured, good, you needed time to rest. If something bad happened, good, you get to figure out the solution for it. And I just love that idea of all of us in life have to go through things we don't want to experience. But when we frame that problem of it being a positive and saying good, it shifts it as an opportunity instead of a problem that we're dealing with. And I get it that it's similar to a lot of my other quotes, but as I've said sometimes before, it's my podcast, so I can break the rules if I want.
Sure.
But I will just say this is something that has resonated with me. So a lot of people listen to this don't know this. When I was in high school, I got sucker punched and suffered some significant injuries. But when I think about it, it led to so many good things in my life and me changing what I wanted to study in school and what I wanted to do. I had a failed business I tried to start when I was young. I was in my early 20s and I was like, I'm going to be a business owner. And it crashed and burned. But it was good because it led me into what I got to do later on in my career. I was passed over for other jobs before I got the job that I do today. And I think most of us, like we've had failed relationships where we think, oh, that person's the one, and then they're not. And looking back, you're like, good. Like, I'm glad that didn't work out. But I think in life, when we're going through some stuff, say that idea of good, try to find the perspective. It might be hard to find in the moment, but at the end of the day, something is going to come positive from that. So that is my number 2. Shout out to Jocko. Fantastic. I just love his quotes. So Jocko had to be on the list. Bob, you got any thoughts or comments on my very short good quote?
Well, eh, I have several, but there's really one thing that's kind of sticking out to me is it's kind of a question for you. But
Yeah.
let's say tomorrow you have a bad day, a bad situation, and really bad, like not just a bad lunch or a bad day,
Yeah.
something significant. Does that come to your head? Like, do you go there, like, or is it an afterthought almost? I mean, how trained are you in that good? Does my question make sense?
It does. So I
Yeah.
would say like I do like the whole 5 minutes of let me for 5 minutes have my internal panic if it's really
Mhm.
bad. And like I need a few moments to like get myself together, but then it's pick yourself up by the bootstraps and you got to go handle business. That's kind of been my
Mhm.
mantra in life. And I've seen that, from people like my parents. I've watched it from people like Jocko, some of the people that I follow. I just think that's kind of just been my mindset is you got to be resilient. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Bob, but that's the answer I would give.
I think you did. It's 'cause, yeah, we're all going through things, and I
Hmm.
can see times where I wish I'd have gotten to that quicker,
Yeah.
gotten to the good quicker because it's, and I will confess I'm maybe an overanalyzer, kind of a deep thinker. I may be a worrier. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm a worrier or not. Certain things I am that I probably needlessly worry, and but I would. That's a no pun intended. That's a good one. It really is. Just to take control. It really
I
is.
love the pun. That
And
was well played.
I really want. It just naturally happened, man. That's me. So
Hey, I'm all for it.
that's
Well,
good.
Since that one was a good one, let's hear what your great one is. What's your number one quote on your list today?
So this one, sometimes I've seen a few variations of the words and the adjectives in it, but this is one I
Uh-huh.
think is the closest. Is not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love.
Oof.
And that's from Saint Mother Teresa.
That's a fantastic quote.
It's humbling, but it's also kind of a call to effort and action too, I think.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It, it's it's a different kind of motivation, but it's probably the best of all of them when it comes to motivation
Yeah.
because that's kind of what we're here for. At least I think so.
Bob, it's
So,
it's funny because I'm noticing a trend in a lot of your quotes that it's
mhm.
a lot of just this idea of being a good, caring human being and trying to do the right thing. And it's funny because earlier, you really talked about with some of the questions I asked about your business about how it's kind of hard to market what you do. And for me, sitting here listening to you and you talking about the quotes that resonate with you, I think, while not intentional, you are marketing the heck out of yourself just
I get it.
about
Right.
how good of a person you are and how that's what you want to help people do. And it's because you care about people and you have empathy for people. And that's probably like the best marketing pitch you could ever give for the business that you do. Hopefully, I'm not speaking out of turn by saying that, but just I've
No,
noticed a trend with yours.
no, you're not. And I saw somebody else that said I don't remember who it was. I wasn't prepared with this quote, but he or she said, "I write the books, I do the stuff for me." It's like it's not I'm not doing it for myself, but it's like I need this. So
Yeah.
because I don't walk the perfect walk by any means. So these things I'm struggling with the same things other people are struggling with. I don't have this stuff mastered by any means. So yes,
Yeah,
I agree with you, and it's a journey that I go on with my customers, with my clients. I kind of become partners with them in these situations. So yeah,
I
good
love it.
observation.
Well, I'll give you my number one. And my number one, I've had a couple on my list that were from people that I've met or people close to me.
Mhm,
And my number one is 3 words long, and it's whatever it takes. So
mhm,
my grandfather used to live by this quote, something he said a lot. And back in 2011, he was diagnosed with glioblastoma. And while he was battling cancer, my wife made a bunch of these gray bracelets with the quote, whatever it takes on it. And we sold those bracelets and we made a donation in my grandfather's name for an organization that dealt with cancer research. And as I sit here recording this evening, I'm actually still wearing one of those bracelets today. So we had a bunch left over. I have continued to wear them for the last 15 years. And that short mantra is something I've always tried to remember when I'm going through something tough. That I got to do whatever it takes to get this job done. And I've tried to apply that professionally, personally, in my physical endeavors, that sometimes you just got to run through the proverbial wall or figure out how you're going to make this happen. And to me, some of the greatest stories are people that did just that, that they did whatever it took. And I'm just going to briefly mention a guy here that is, I think, the living embodiment of that. And it's World War II veteran Louis Zamperini. And Bob, are you familiar with Louis' story?
Another one, the name is sounding really familiar. Once you probably start telling me, I'll recognize it. It's a unique name, and I know I've heard it.
Yeah. Well, I got you. So Louis was obviously serving in World War II. His plane gets gunned down, and he survived on a raft at sea for 47 days. During that time, he and the other 2 survivors subsisted on rainwater, ate small raw fish, and consumed birds that landed on their raft. They faced shark attacks, and they were actually using an oar to uh, to fight back the sharks that were trying to kill them on the raft. Their raft got shot at multiple times by Japanese bombers, and after being stranded at sea, they finally get rescued and they become prisoners of war in Japan. And Zamperini, due to his status as an Olympian, faced a lot of humiliation, a lot of very significant physical abuse and mistreatment. And there's a book and a movie by the same name about this. It's called Unbroken, one of the greatest books I've ever read. But there was one of the guards, I won't mention the guard's name, he pops up in the book in the movie, who mistreated Zamperini so significantly that with his conduct in general, he was considered one of the 40 most wanted war criminals of World War II. So Zamperini was a man that did whatever it took to survive. And there are so many stories out there of people in the military, athletes, leaders, just everyday people who, against all odds, have survived something insurmountable. So I just think, regardless of whatever we're facing in life, we all appreciate someone who's resilient, and that's what that quote means to me. So obviously that one, number one, because it's came from somebody very close to me in my life, something that I still wear on my right wrist every single day. And when stuff gets tough, that's you asked earlier, Bob, like the how my mindset is about that good. Probably the first thing I do is look down at this bracelet and go, all right, I got to figure out whatever it takes to complete whatever mission it is that I'm on. So that's my number one. Bob, I'll ask, you got any thoughts on that one?
Of course I do, and I'm familiar with that book. It's actually in my queue of one we'll be listening or reading. I read some, I
Yeah.
listen to some, so I'm very familiar with that. And now here's what's interesting. Going all the way back to, you asked about what I did. I told you the seed was planted when I went to that company and they were teaching customer service training.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, the thing they said, when it comes to these customers that come in the door, do whatever it takes. I'm not making this up, Matt. You and I did talk about this before.
We did
So,
not.
that's pretty cool that it turns
It
like that.
is.
But the concept they were talking about is empowerment. So
Yeah.
I was 19 years old working in a store. I didn't know what I was doing, and they were like, when a customer comes in, do whatever it takes. So there were times I would be, you name it. I'd be walking people in the car with umbrellas. I would be taking. I I, I took that literally. Now, okay, literally is probably a little strong because they were like, you can't, you know, mark down prices. You can't.
Yeah.
You know what you mean when it says whatever it takes,
Yeah.
but it was an
You can't hold them
empowerment.
hostage. So
Correct. Yes, correct. So it was an empowering quote, and it empowered me to feel ownership in the businesses that I've been. So, and
yeah.
truth be told, I think I'd love to give those to my clients. Like, how do we make this happen? We do whatever it takes. So I love it.
Yeah. I love it as well. Well, Bob, anytime I wrap up an episode, I always ask people, like, do you have any complaints about the lists? Is there any that we like left out? Like, what are your thoughts as we wrap up today?
So I do have one honorable mention when we'll get
Yeah,
to
have
it.
at it.
I'll get to it just in a minute. But no, I think
Okay.
this is good. The tricky part to this, I honestly think you and I could do this again tomorrow night with 5 different quotes each. You know what I mean? I mean,
We
it's
could. You're
pretty.
very right.
So, when you say the top 5, man, that's difficult.
Uh-huh.
It's and putting them in order is difficult, but it was a good homework assignment. Not that you really gave me a homework assignment, but in a way it was. So,
Hey, listen, people that have come on this podcast have told me the same thing. Like, have said that before, that I've given them homework. And I'm like, that's fair. I'm okay with it. I accept
yeah.
that terminology.
But the honorable mention one it's not so much motivational, but it's really funny. And it's from Yogi Berra, the former Yankees catcher. And here's the quote: "Nobody goes there anymore. It's just too crowded." I think that's fantastic.
He has such good quotes.
Isn't it great?
Oh, I love Yogi Bear.
Yep.
Well, hopefully at some point, Yogi Berra would have to say this about this podcast, that it's just too crowded. I'm just
Mhm.
trying to tie it in. I was like, I like the quote. That's a great
Yes.
quote.
Well,
Uh,
the funny thing is that is a funny quote, but in a weird way, today's society, our kinda laziness and nature and stuff,
yeah.
it happens to me. I mean, let's not go there tonight. It's always so packed. Let's just stay.
Yeah.
It's woe is, there's some motivation oddly behind that one. So,
There is, for sure. Bob, I'll ask, I know we've talked about your business on the front end.
Mhm.
As we wrap up, I'm going to, in the episode description and on my social media, I'm going to list your website information if people wanted to get into contact with you. Is your website the best way for somebody to reach out to you if they're interested in your services?
Sure, they can go there, and obviously they can reach out to you, and you can get them in touch with me if
Yeah.
need be. Sometimes because you can give people all these different directions, and they always like, "I forgot that one guy. I'll just call Matt," or I'll that happens. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm not real super active on a lot of social medias. I do have a
Hmm.
Facebook page. I've got a LinkedIn page and such. They can
Yeah.
look my name up or my company, Tandem Innovations, and on Facebook, I think it's Tandem Innovations, Coach Bob. But
Yep.
any of those ways, I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a smattering of videos. I don't have a whole lot of content. I'm slowly adding to that as we speak. So you can look that up, my name or Tandem Innovations, and should be able to find that. So those are those are all the ways.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll definitely link those into this episode description. So if you've liked what you've heard from Bob this evening, and I don't know how you wouldn't, you'll have some ways that you can quickly access more information about him. Uh, as I always say at the end of these episodes, thank you all for tuning in. If you've not done so yet, like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, refer a friend to come check this podcast out. This was an episode suggested by a listener. If you have a suggestion that you'd like us to cover on this podcast, you can send that in to generationalfave5@gmail.com. That's generational, FAVE, the number 5 at gmail.com.